The Great Council Chamber of the Galactic Federation stretched for nearly a mile in every direction. Floating platforms held representatives from over 200 species, each one more strange and wonderful than the last. Giants sat beside small furry creatures. Beings of pure energy flickered next to rock-like entities that moved with surprising grace. This was the heart of galactic civilization, and today was the annual technology assessment. Jack stood on the small human platform near the back of the chamber. His position spoke volumes about humanity's place in the Federation. 50 years ago, humans had made first contact with the scouting vessel that stumbled upon Earth. Since then, humanity had joined the Federation as a minor member, a young species still learning to walk among the stars. "The human assessment is next," announced the senior counselor, a tall named-in. His 4 arms folded across his chest as he looked down at the human platform with barely hidden contempt. "Ambassador, please present your species' technological progress for this cycle." Jack smiled politely and activated the holographic display. Images of human ships appeared in the air, their designs blocky and simple compared to the elegant vessels of older species. "Thank you, Senior Counselor," Jack said, his voice calm and humble. "Earth is pleased to report steady progress in our development. Our faster-than-light drives now achieve 0.7 efficiency, and our defensive shields have improved by 12% over last year." Laughter rippled through the chamber. A slug-like creature from the delegation made a wet, bubbling sound that translated as mockery. "0.7 efficiency. My species achieved that level 3,000 years ago." "We are grateful for any guidance the Council can offer," Jack replied with a small bow. "Humanity knows it has much to learn." And compound eyes studied the human ambassador. "Your weapon systems remain unchanged. Your medical technology is still primitive by Federation standards. Your population remains confined to a single solar system." He paused, letting the words sink in. "After 50 years of Federation membership, humans have shown the slowest advancement of any species in recorded history." Jack kept his expression neutral. "We do our best with what we have, Senior Counselor." "Perhaps," and said, "humans have simply reached their natural limit. Not all species are meant for greatness." More laughter filled the chamber. Jack stood quietly, accepting the humiliation with grace. When the assessment ended and the chamber began to empty, he remained on his platform, watching the other delegates leave. Ambassador Ravi approached him. She was a beautiful avian creature with feathers that shifted colors with her emotions. Unlike most delegates, she had always treated humans with kindness. "I am sorry, Jack," she said softly. "They should not speak to you that way." "It is fine," Jack replied. "They see what they expect to see." Ra tilted her head, a gesture of confusion among her people. "What do you mean?" Jack smiled but said nothing. He simply bowed to her politely and walked toward the exit. Ra watched him go, feeling strangely unsettled by the look in his eyes. It was not the look of a defeated man. It was something else entirely. Later that night, in the privacy of the human embassy, Jack locked himself in a secure room. He pressed his palm against a hidden panel, and the wall slid open to reveal a communication device that would have made every scientist in the Federation weep with envy. The holographic display activated, showing a woman in a military uniform. Admiral Lisa Carter commanded Earth's official defense fleet, a collection of 12 aging ships that could barely protect a single planet. At least, that was what the Federation believed. "How did the assessment go?" Lisa asked, though her slight smile suggested she already knew. "Exactly as planned," Jack said. "They think we are fools, and practically called us evolutionary failures." Lisa laughed. "Good, let them keep thinking that." "Any updates from home?" Lisa's expression grew serious. "The new shipyards on Titan are fully operational. That brings our total to 6 hidden construction facilities. Production is ahead of schedule." Jack nodded slowly. "And the lunar installations?" Ready and waiting. 2,000 ships in the main hangar alone. Another 3,000 distributed through the asteroid belt and the moons of Jupiter. Lisa paused. Jack, we have enough firepower to take on the entire Federation fleet and win. How much longer do we have to play this game? As long as necessary, Jack replied. You know what happens to species that rise too fast. They were wiped out 60 years ago, the 30 years before that. The Federation Council does not allow rivals. Lisa's jaw tightened. I know, I have read the classified files, it still makes me angry. Use that anger to stay sharp, Jack said. Our time will come, but it must be on our terms when we choose, not when they force us into a corner. A soft chime interrupted their conversation. Lisa looked at something off-screen and her face went pale. Jack, we have a problem. What is it? Deep space sensors just picked up something at the edge of Federation territory. 3 outer colonies have gone dark in the last 48 hours. No distress signals, no survivors, just silence. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. Do we know what caused it? Lisa shook her head. Not yet, but whatever it is heading toward the core systems. Jack, this is not a Federation matter. This is something else, something big. The communication ended, and Jack stood alone in the dark room. For 50 years, humanity had hidden in plain sight, building, preparing, waiting. They had expected the threat to come from within the Federation itself. But now something else was coming, something that had turned 3 colonies to dust without warning. Jack looked out the window at the alien stars above. Somewhere out there, death was moving through the void, and humanity's long game was about to be tested in ways no one had expected. He reached for the communicator again. It was time to wake up the generals. It was time to prepare for war. The emergency session of the Federation Council was the largest gathering in over a century. Every species sent their highest representatives. The floating platforms were packed with delegates, and fear hung in the air like a thick fog. Senior Counselor and stood at the central podium, his 4 arms trembling slightly as he addressed the assembly. 3 days ago, we lost contact with the outer colonies of Ventis Prime, Hollow Station, and the mining world of Duras 7. Rescue ships found nothing. No debris, no bodies, no trace of the 4 million beings who lived there. They simply vanished. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Jack watched from the human platform, his face a mask of calm attention. Beside him stood General Price, who had arrived from Earth just hours ago. Was a hard man with gray hair and cold eyes, the kind of soldier who had seen too much to be surprised by anything. Our long-range sensors have identified the threat, and continued. The holographic display activated, showing a mass of dark shapes moving through space. They looked like living shadows, thousands of them, each one the size of a small moon. The void swarm has returned. Silence fell over the council. Then chaos erupted. Delegates screamed, argued, and fled their platforms in panic. The void swarm was not just an enemy. It was a nightmare from ancient history, a force that had destroyed the previous galactic civilization 10,000 years ago. The founders of the Federation had barely survived, and they had hoped the swarm was gone forever. Order and demanded, but his voice was weak. We must have order. It took nearly an hour to calm the assembly. When discussions finally began, they quickly turned ugly. Admiral OK, commander of the Federation fleet, presented a defensive strategy that involved pulling all military forces back to protect the core systems. We must consolidate, the admiral insisted. Our fleet is powerful, but it is spread across too many sectors. If we try to defend everything, we will lose everything. A delegate from the raised a slimy tentacle. What about the outer territories? What about the species who live near the border? OK hesitated. Difficult choices must be made. Some regions will need to be sacrificed for the greater good. Jack noticed staring at him from across the chamber. Her feathers had turned a pale gray, the color of grief. She left her platform and flew over to the human section. "Jack," she whispered, "Earth is in the outer territories. Your entire solar system is in the zone they plan to abandon." "I am aware," Jack said quietly. "You must speak up. Demand protection. Your people will die if the swarm reaches Earth." Jack shook his head slowly. "Humanity will survive, Ra, I promise you that." She stared at him with confusion. "How can you be so calm? I am trying to save your species." "And I am grateful for your concern," Jack replied. He placed a hand on her feathered shoulder. "You have always been a true friend to humanity. Remember that no matter what happens next." Before Ra could respond, and called for a vote on the defensive strategy. As expected, the core species voted to abandon the outer territories. Earth's sector was officially designated as a buffer zone, expendable in the face of the coming storm. Jack accepted the decision with a polite nod and said nothing. Price stood beside him, fists clenched at his sides, holding back his anger. That night, the two men returned to the human embassy and locked themselves in the secure room. Jack activated the advanced communicator and connected to Admiral Lisa Carter on Earth. "It is done," Jack said. "The Federation has abandoned us." Lisa nodded grimly. "We expected this. What are your orders?" Price stepped forward. "Wake up everyone. Every hidden base, every secret shipyard, every soldier we have been training for the past 50 years. It is time." "What about the deception?" Lisa asked. "If we reveal ourselves now, the Federation will see what we really are." Jack thought for a long moment. "The void swarm is coming. If we stay hidden, humanity dies. If we reveal ourselves, we might start a war with the Federation after we survive the swarm." He looked at, then back at Lisa. "We will deal with the Federation later. Right now, we survive." Lisa saluted. "Understood. I will begin activation immediately." Across Earth's solar system, things began to change. On the dark side of the moon, massive doors that had been sealed for decades slowly opened. Inside were warships unlike anything the Federation had ever seen, each one bristling with weapons that operated on principles the galaxy's best scientists could not understand. On Mars, hidden facilities beneath the red dust came alive. Thousands of soldiers received orders to prepare for combat. They were not the primitive humans the Federation believed existed. They were warriors trained with technology generations ahead of anything else in the galaxy. In the asteroid belt, hollowed-out rocks revealed their true purpose. They were not mining stations. They were weapons platforms and carrier ships, home to fighter craft that could outmaneuver any vessel in existence. General Price watched the activation reports come in. "Final count," he said quietly. 12,000 capital ships, 40,000 support vessels, 2 million combat-ready soldiers." Jack stood beside him, watching the numbers scroll across the screen. 50 years of hiding, 50 years of being laughed at and looked down upon, 50 years of pretending to be weak while we built an armada in secret. "Was it worth it?" asked. Jack thought of all the insults humanity had endured, all the humiliation, all the times they had bowed their heads and accepted mockery from species that thought themselves superior. "We are about to find out," he said. The scanners beeped with a new alert. The void swarm had changed course. Instead of moving toward the core systems, it was now heading directly for Earth, as if something there had caught its attention. Jack stared at the screen. "They know," he whispered. "Somehow, they know we are not what we pretend to be." The final battle for humanity's survival was coming. And this time, there would be no more hiding. The void swarm arrived at Earth's solar system like a dark tide rolling across the stars. Thousands of shadow-like vessels blocked out the light from distant suns, each one pulsing with a hunger that had consumed countless worlds over 10,000 years. Federation observers had positioned themselves at a safe distance to watch what they believed would be humanity's extinction. Counselor, and watched from his flagship, already preparing the memorial speech he would give about the brave but primitive humans who fell defending there. "Such a waste," he said to his aide. "They were a simple people, but they did not deserve this fate." His aide nodded. "At least their sacrifice will slow the swarm. It may give us time to prepare the core defenses." On the observation screens, Earth's defense fleet moved into position. 12 ships, old and outdated, formed a thin line between the swarm and the blue planet behind them. It was a pitiful sight that made several Federation observers look away in shame. "They are actually going to fight," whispered an avian delegate. "Do they not understand they cannot win?" Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the swarm approach. She had commanded this small fleet for 15 years, playing the role of a desperate defender with limited resources. Today, that role would end. "All ships hold position," she ordered calmly. "Wait for my signal." The swarm struck like a hammer. Dark tendrils of energy lashed out at the human ships, and within minutes, 3 vessels were destroyed. The remaining 9 fought back with weapons that seemed laughably weak against the endless enemy, and watched the slaughter with a mix of pity and relief. "It is almost over," he said. "Once the humans are gone, the swarm will need time to consume their world. That will give us months to prepare." Then Lisa Carter spoke into her communicator. "Operation Sunrise, execute." Earth's moon began to split open, and leaned forward, his compound eyes widening in disbelief. The lunar surface cracked along lines that were too straight to be natural. Massive doors, hidden for decades, swung outward to reveal vast hangars carved into the moon's interior. Ships emerged, not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. They were nothing like the primitive vessels the Federation had assessed for 50 years. These were warships of incredible design, sleek and powerful, bristling with weapons that glowed with energies the Federation could not identify. They moved with a speed and grace that seemed impossible for vessels their size. "What is this?" and stammered. "What is happening?" His aide's hands trembled over the scanner controls. "Sir, I am reading over 2,000 capital ships from the lunar base alone, and there is more coming from Mars, from the asteroid belt, from the moons of Jupiter." The aide looked up with terror in his eyes. "The entire solar system is a military installation." Captain Cole stood on the bridge of the S Horizon, the largest dreadnought in humanity's secret fleet. He was a young commander, barely 40 years old, but he had trained his entire adult life for this moment. "All ships, this is Captain Cole," he announced across the fleet communication channel. "The game is over. Today, we show the galaxy who we really are. Today, we fight." Lieutenant Amy, his tactical officer, tracked the enemy movements on her advanced display. "Captain, the swarm is adjusting formation. They seem confused by our numbers." "Good," Cole replied. "Let us add to their confusion. All batteries open fire." The human fleet unleashed weapons that the Federation had never seen. Beams of compressed energy cut through swarm vessels like knives through paper. Missiles that seemed to think for themselves hunted down enemy ships and detonated with forces that shattered the void creatures from the inside. And watched in stunned silence as the battle turned. The void swarm, which had seemed unstoppable just minutes ago, was being pushed back by a species the Federation had dismissed as primitive. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. How did they hide this? How did we not know?" The battle raged for hours. Human ships moved in perfect coordination, using tactics that the Federation's best strategists could not comprehend. When swarm vessels tried to overwhelm them with numbers, the humans simply adapted, shifting formations and deploying countermeasures that neutralized every attack. Amy studied the enemy patterns with cold focus. "Captain, I am detecting a weakness in their formation. If we strike at grid 77, we can split their forces in half." "Do it," Cole ordered. The horizon led a strike group directly into the heart of the swarm. Weapons blazed, shields held against impossible odds, and human courage proved stronger than alien hunger. The swarm formation shattered, and thousands of enemy vessels began to retreat. Lisa Carter watched the victory unfold from her command ship. She had waited 50 years for this moment, and now it was finally here. Humanity had revealed its true strength, and nothing would ever be the same. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we are receiving messages from Federation observers. They are demanding an explanation." Lisa allowed herself a small smile. "Tell them Ambassador will address the Council soon. For now, we have a battle to finish." But even as the human fleet celebrated its first victory, long-range sensors detected something terrifying. The swarm forces they had defeated were only the advance guard. The main hive fleet was still coming, and it was 10 times larger than anything they had faced today. Captain Cole stared at the scanner data and felt the weight of what was coming. "Contact Ambassador," he said quietly. "Tell him we need the Federation's help. Whether they trust us or not, we cannot win this alone." The first battle was over, but the war for survival had just begun. The Federation Council chamber had never been so quiet. Every platform was filled, every eye and sensor focused on the small human delegation standing at the center. Jack faced the assembled representatives of 200 species, knowing that the next few minutes would determine humanity's future. Counselor and broke the silence. His voice trembled with a mixture of anger and fear. "Ambassador, you have deceived this council for 50 years. You have violated every treaty regarding technological disclosure. You have built a military force larger than the entire Federation fleet without our knowledge." His 4 arms spread wide in accusation. "Explain yourself." Jack remained calm. He had prepared for this moment his entire career. "Senior Counselor, everything I am about to say is the truth. I ask only that you listen before passing judgment." "Speak," and commanded. Jack took a deep breath and began. "When humanity first made contact with the Federation, we were genuinely primitive. We had just achieved basic space travel and knew nothing of the larger galaxy. We were eager to join your civilization and learn from your wisdom." He paused, letting the words settle. "But we also watched. We observed how the Federation treated its members. We noticed that powerful species were feared and restricted, while weak species were ignored but left in peace. We saw how your council reacted to any civilization that rose too quickly or grew too strong." Murmurs spread through the chamber, and his eyes narrowed. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm not suggesting anything," Jack replied. "I am stating facts. Humanity discovered your classified archives. We learned about a species that developed advanced weapons technology and was quietly eliminated by a Federation strike force 60 years ago. We learned about destroyed 30 years before that for similar reasons. We found records of at least 3 other civilizations that were erased because they threatened the balance of power." The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted denials, accusations, and demands for proof, and struck his podium with all 4 arms, calling for order. "These are lies," he declared. "The humans are trying to distract us from their own crimes." Jack shook his head slowly. "I have copies of every document. I can share them with any delegate who wishes to see the truth, but that is not why I am here today." Ra flew down from her platform and landed near Jack. Her feathers had turned the deep blue of sorrow. "Jack, tell me this is not true. Tell me my government did not murder innocent species." Jack looked at her with genuine sympathy. "I am sorry, Ra. Your people were not involved. These decisions were made by the Senior Council, kept secret from most Federation members." He turned back to face the assembly. "Humanity did not hide our technology out of greed or ambition. We hid it because we were afraid of you. We were afraid that if you knew what we could do, you would destroy us before we could defend ourselves." Silence returned to the chamber. The truth was difficult to accept, but many delegates could see the logic in Jack's words. The Federation had always been suspicious of rapid advancement. The idea that they had taken action against rising species was disturbing but not impossible to believe. An elderly delegate from the crystalline spoke up, their voice like wind chimes. Even if what you say is true, it does not change the current situation. The void swarm is coming. Your fleet defeated their advance force, but our sensors show the main hive is still approaching. What do you propose we do? Jack straightened his shoulders. Humanity is willing to share everything. Our technology, our weapons, our defensive strategies. We can upgrade your ships, train your crews, and integrate your forces with ours. Together, we can defeat the swarm and save every world in the Federation. And what do you want in return? And asked suspiciously. Two things, Jack replied. First, we want to be treated as equals, not as primitives to be mocked and not as threats to be eliminated, true partners in a true alliance. And the second thing. Jack's expression hardened. No more secret eliminations, no more assassinations of rising species. If a civilization grows powerful, you work with them, not against them. The old ways nearly killed us all. If the Federation had trusted humanity from the beginning, we would have been fighting together for decades instead of hiding from each other. The chamber fell into deep discussion. Delegates argued in small groups, weighing the risks and benefits of Jack's proposal. Some wanted to reject the humans entirely, preferring to face the swarm alone rather than trust a species that had deceived them. Others recognized that without human technology, the Federation had no hope of survival. Ra spoke loudly enough for all to hear. I believe them. I have known Jack for 20 years. He has always been honest with me, even when he could not tell me everything. If he says humanity wants peace, I believe him. Her words carried weight. They were respected throughout the Federation, and Ra's support shifted the mood of the chamber. Finally, and raised his arms for silence. We will vote, all in favor of accepting human assistance and forming a joint military command. Platforms lit up across the chamber as delegates registered their votes. It was not unanimous, but it was enough. The Federation would stand with humanity. Jack felt the tension leave his shoulders. 50 years of secrets and lies had brought them to this moment. Now, everything depended on the battle ahead. Thank you, he said simply. Admiral Carter is waiting to coordinate with your fleet commanders. If we work together, we can win this war. As the delegates began to disperse, Ra approached Jack one more time. You took a great risk today. If they had voted against you, humanity would face both the swarm and the Federation. Jack nodded. I know, but some risks are worth taking. Hiding kept us safe, but it also kept us alone. Whatever happens next, at least we will face it with allies. Outside the council chamber, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere in that darkness, the void swarm was coming. But for the first time in 50 years, humanity would not face the danger alone. The combined fleet gathered at the edge of the home system, where long-range sensors had detected the void swarm's approach. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 12,000 human warships flew alongside 15,000 Federation vessels, their crews working together for the first time. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of her command ship, coordinating the massive armada. Human officers had been placed aboard every Federation vessel, sharing targeting systems and tactical knowledge in real time. It was a level of trust that would have been impossible just weeks ago. Admiral, the swarm will enter weapons range in 30 minutes, reported her tactical officer. Lisa studied the scanner display. The main hive fleet was enormous, over 50,000 vessels of various sizes, with the swarm queen at the center. Intelligence suggested that the queen was the key to their hive mind. If she fell, the swarm would lose coordination and collapse, but reaching her meant fighting through an ocean of enemies. All ships, this is Admiral Carter, Lisa announced across every communication channel. Today, we fight not as humans or we fight as one people defending one galaxy. The swarm thinks we are weak because we are different from each other. Let us show them that our differences make us strong. Captain Cole listened to the speech from the bridge of the horizon. Lieutenant Amy sat beside him, her fingers dancing over tactical displays as she tracked enemy movements. "The Queen is heavily protected," Amy observed. "At least 10,000 ships between us and her." "Then we will have to be creative," Cole replied. He opened a channel to his strike team. "Commander, okay, are your warriors ready?" The response came from a deep, clicking voice. Okay was a warrior who had once mocked humanity at a Federation ceremony. Now he commanded a joint assault team of human and soldiers. "We are ready, Captain. It will be an honor to fight beside humans today." Cole smiled at the change. War had a way of showing people who their true allies were. The battle began with the swarm's first wave crashing against the combined fleet like a tsunami hitting. Energy beams and missiles filled the void, creating a storm of light and destruction that stretched across thousands of miles. Human technology proved its worth immediately. Adaptive shields learned from each swarm attack, becoming stronger with every hit. Weapons that disrupted the hive-mind connection caused enemy ships to spin out of control, crashing into each other in confusion. Federation vessels, upgraded with human systems, performed far beyond their original capabilities. But the swarm had numbers, and numbers mattered. For every enemy ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. Federation vessels began to fall, their crews fighting to the last breath. Ra watched the battle from her diplomatic ship, safely positioned behind the front lines. She had insisted on being present, needing to see the outcome with her own eyes. They were not warriors by nature, but they understood courage, and today she witnessed more courage than she had ever imagined. "They are dying for us," she whispered, watching a cruiser sacrifice itself to protect a human carrier. "They are all dying for each other." Hours passed. The combined fleet pushed deeper into swarm territory, leaving a trail of wreckage behind them. Losses were heavy on both sides, but the Allied forces kept advancing, driven by desperation and determination. Finally, Captain Cole saw his opportunity. A gap had opened in the swarm formation, a narrow corridor leading directly toward the Queen. "Strike team, follow me," he ordered. "We are only going to get one chance at this." The Horizon led a group of 20 ships through the gap, weaving between enemy vessels and dodging attacks that would have destroyed them seconds earlier. OK's assault shuttles followed close behind, ready to board the Queen's vessel the moment they got close enough. The Swarm Queen was a massive creature, her body merged with a ship the size of a small moon. She radiated dark energy that made sensors glitch and shields flicker. Getting close to her was like flying into the heart of a black hole. "Lieutenant, find me a weakness," Cole demanded. Amy studied the readings with frantic intensity. "There, Captain, a thermal exhaust port near the base of her main body. If we can get a strike team inside, they might be able to reach her core directly." Cole relayed the information to OK. "Can your warriors make that shot?" The commander's clicking laughter filled the channel. "Humans are not the only ones who have been hiding their abilities. We will get it done." The assault shuttles broke off and dove toward the thermal port while the Horizon drew fire away from them. Cole watched his shields drop to critical levels as swarm defenders swarmed his ship. "Hold together," he muttered to his vessel, "just a little longer." OK's team breached the Queen's ship and fought their way through corridors filled with swarm defenders. Human soldiers fought alongside warriors, their different strengths combining into something greater than either could achieve alone. At the heart of the ship, they found the Queen. She was ancient and terrible, a being of pure hunger that had consumed civilizations for 10,000 years. She screamed with a psychic force that brought several soldiers to their knees. But OK did not fall. Neither did the human sergeant beside him, a woman named Hayes who had grown up on stories of humanity's secret preparations. Together, they planted explosive charges around the Queen's core. Together, they triggered the detonation and dove for cover. The explosion tore through the Swarm Queen, ending her 10,000-year reign of terror. Across the battlefield, swarm vessels went silent as the hive mind collapsed. Some drifted aimlessly. Others crashed into each other without guidance. The threat that had haunted the galaxy since before the Federation existed was finally over. 1 month later, the Federation Council gathered for a ceremony unlike any before. The chamber was filled not with suspicion and fear, but with hope and gratitude. Counselor N stood at the podium, his posture humble in a way no one had ever seen. On behalf of the Federation Council, I offer humanity our deepest apologies. We underestimated you. We feared you. We planned to abandon you. And yet you saved us all. Jack accepted the apology with grace. The past is done. What matters now is the future we build together. And nodded. Then let us begin that future today. Humanity is hereby granted a permanent seat on the Senior Council, with full voice in all Federation decisions. Applause filled the chamber, but Jack raised his hand for silence. I accept this honor on one condition. The practice of eliminating rising species ends today. Every civilization, no matter how powerful, deserves the chance to grow and contribute. The Federation must protect its members, not fear them. And hesitated, then bowed his head. Agreed. From this day forward, the Federation will change. We will be better because of you. After the ceremony, Ra found Jack standing alone on an observation deck, watching the stars. Were you ever afraid? She asked softly. All those years of hiding, knowing what the council might do if they discovered the truth. Jack smiled sadly. We were terrified, Ra, every single day. But fear is not weakness. Fear is what drives humans to prepare, to build, to protect the ones we love. We were afraid, so we became strong enough to face what we feared. Ra considered his words. Your people are remarkable, Jack. No, Jack replied. We are just survivors, and now, hopefully, we can help the rest of the galaxy survive too. Admiral Lisa Carter joined them on the observation deck. The three of them stood in comfortable silence, looking out at a galaxy that was finally at peace. Humanity had hidden in the shadows for 50 years. They had endured mockery, suspicion, and the threat of annihilation. And when the darkness came, they had risen to meet it. Not as conquerors, not as victims. Just as people who had learned long ago that the universe was dangerous, and the only answer was to be ready.